Hey guys, so this is going to be the first real update in a while where I've actually had something relatively new to update on. In my last video I talked about how my rainbow shark had died and that I've replaced him with a new baby shark, and I was trying to show him off. But I also mentioned that I was going to be making some changes to the 65-gallon tank. I wasn't really sure what I was going to do or where I was planning on, I guess, what kind of end I was hoping for. But on this past weekend, I just kind of decided to do it and got a little carried away. This is the finished result, so if you want to take a second and look back at my last video so you can have the before and after, it will seem more extreme than just from memory. And I guess I'm happy with the way it looks. I'm a little horrified too. I think that often I get going on doing a major trim or a rescape, and I always regret it right after I do it. But I think that in this case it's just because I've cut back so much that the tank looks empty and bare to me. But obviously it's going to grow back, and it'll grow back nicer than it was before because of the big trim. So it's just going to take some time, and I have gotten a little bit more used to it since I did it on the weekend. So if you do remember, or you did look back, you'll notice that in this spot here, all the antibias is gone, and that was a lot. The clump and the root structures in it were huge. So that's the biggest change, mostly, is that that's gone. Also, this area before was completely filled in with the crypts, which were growing out of control. So I pulled up a bunch of them from the front and kind of in amongst the ones here and along the side because they were getting so cramped. And I moved them over to this side of the tank. And I think they look really good over here. And the thing I do like about the rescape so far is the three clumps of crypts, like one in the middle and then the one on either side. I really like, what's the word I'm looking for? I've totally lost it. I'm very distracted. Symmetrical, there we go. It looks symmetrical, and that kind of stuff always really pleases me, even though when you read about aquascaping, often they say to not try and have things look too symmetrical, and that it's better to do the kind of 3-to-1 ratio of things. But I think that this looks okay. The Rotala and the Bacopa at the back, I cut way back, just hacked away at it. You can see here I left a few because I couldn't bear to cut them, but things are pretty clean and cut in the back there. I cut back the Rotala, which is usually trailing on the surface, way back on both sides, but I replanted most of it in this clump here. You'll see it's kind of redder at the top, which or the whole plant here itself is redder, and that's because it's the top of these ones. When I was digging around in the crypts, I found something interesting. This plant here, which I think was my lotus plant that I thought had died, but I guess a little seed or little piece of it had floated off and started regrowing in the shelter of the crypts. So I untangled its roots from the roots of some of the crypts, and I planted it here in a spot where I felt like it would get the most light. So I'm hoping that that one will make a comeback because I think that it could fill in this space fairly nicely. There's one Anabias that I shoved in the back there. I'm hoping that by keeping it covered and in the shade, the Congo tetras won't notice it and it will have a chance to recover and start growing some new leaves. But I think that it might just be that if I choose to have the Congo tetras in this tank, that I'm just not going to be able to have Anabias, because even this big one that I got in the back here, I thought they were going to leave that one alone, but you'll see that the tips are all eaten, and there's a good shot of it there. So even the big burly Anabias are eaten by these guys because they're little monsters. And they actually, if you have them at home, you'll know that they actually have pretty big teeth. And it's a good thing that they're so docile and such good community fish, because I really think that they could do some damage. And for those of you that don't know, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you know, pacu fish, often people mistake them for piranhas, or pet stores sell them as a quote-unquote friendly version of a piranha, but they look very similar, and they are actually a Carachin or Caracin type tetra, and so are Congo tetras. So that's why you see they have these big burly mouths with these little teeth in them. But they're beautiful, and they're very actually skittish and shy, so they don't do damage or show any aggression to the other fish in this tank, which is what's so nice about keeping them in here. So yeah, the changes are big, especially for me when I'm so used to seeing this tank so packed full of plants and having such dense growth in it that I can't even see, I can't even see the roots or the stems of any of them. So it's a little unusual for me to see it this way, but I'll get used to it and it'll grow back. And in the meantime, I'm going to, hopefully this Easter weekend, drive out to an aquarium store that's about an hour's drive from here, and I'm going to pick up some new bulbs for my light, because I've had them on this tank for about a year, and I replace them every year to make sure that the tank is getting enough light. And when I go, I'm going to try and see what kind of low-tech foreground plants I can buy to fill in some of this gravel area here. I'd really like to plant some sort of grass, but again, the light, this tank is too low-tech for a lot of that stuff, and any attempts I've made in the past to plant grass in here with the Congo tetras, they just pull it up and eat it. So I'll see. I'm gonna rack my brains, and if you have any suggestions what might look nice in the front there that isn't baby tears, or anything that needs a lot of light or CO2 to grow, because again, this tank is pretty low tech, so it just it needs to be a simple plant with low requirements. Hygrophila doesn't grow in here either, too, if any of you were thinking of suggesting that. I'm trying to think of what else to say. One thing that I am pleased about with the rescape in this tank is how clean it is. After pulling up all that Anabias and thinning out the crypts and the bacopa, I was really able to give it a really good clean, because I do water changes in this tank every week, 50%, but I don't vacuum the gravel, and because the plants were so dense, I can't really get the vacuum down to the base of them to suck up dead leaves and just general dirt. And so after a while, obviously that builds up and pollutes the water to some degree. But I don't know if you can tell in this video, the water has never been more crystal clear well, the video is grainy, so you won't be able to tell, but the water quality couldn't be better right now. And even just along the gravel, also, they're just spotless. It's so clean, there's no debris, and so that's always nice. Everyone likes a clean tank, and I'm pleased with that. I guess I'll leave you with trying to find a shot of the rainbow shark so I can keep you guys updated on his progress, on how quickly he's growing up. I'll also take advantage of the fact that the chain loaches are out and give you a little shot of them too. But thanks for watching, guys, and I'll try and bring regular updates about this tank so you can see how the growth is coming along and see what kind of decisions I make about foreground plants. But yeah, I appreciate the watching and the views, and thanks, guys. Talk to you soon. There's a little snail trying to escape out here. I often have to kind of rescue them from the outside of the tank and bring them back in, but he's pretty cute.